Good late Thursday, early Friday. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, giving you a look at that current Doppler picture across North Florida and South Georgia. You can see here not too much on that screen right now. Pretty dry. Not quite seeing anything here that I can detect through my eyes at this point, but you do see the temperatures are hot right now, and those hot temperatures combined with those more favorable conditions here will allow for storms to be on the increase again on that Friday. Looking at those higher dew point values still, and just some other weather makers really playing a role here to increase things. So just be aware that there's a marginal risk of severe weather for portions of our area on that Friday. So just something to kind of bear in mind as you're looking ahead there in toward that timeline. Some damaging winds could be possible again. So I'll be watching that. But the heat really is probably the biggest story at this point. So that's something to kind of bear in mind here as well. In fact, let's go ahead and switch on over here to our other source. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a look at some of our heat alerts right now. In fact, I will go ahead and kind of do that at this present point in time. You'll kind of get an idea of what's going on there, and you can see looking there at some of these colors here, you see a heated advisory for many areas, but then an excessive heat warning toward the coast on that Friday. I know a little bit of wind right now in Gadsden County, but most of the areas not really seeing the wind consistently to cool things down too much. We did see it a little bit though around Stark on Thursday. We had some gusts come through in the 20 range, give or take. And that cooled us down about 10 degrees for a bit, but then we started warming back up. We didn't quite get as hot as we were earlier on, but temperatures right now, I'll kind of look at things. You can see a lot of 80s, but a few 70s here on the board. So we'll be kind of keeping our eyes on that. And again, I was alluding to that risk there on that Friday. Let's watch this kind of update there, and you'll be able to see there is a marginal risk in play there as we're looking toward parts of the area. And we'll have another update from the Storm Prediction Center on that here in just a little bit. But again, just continuing to watch things here locally, and we'll continue to make sure we're on if we need to be for any threats here in terms of our 62 counties, of course. In terms of those 62 counties, whenever there's an inclement weather situation, we're watching. Whenever it's severe, we're posting about it at the minimum. But a lot of times we're on the air for severe thunderstorms when they look the most potent. That's when we're going to be on. We were on for several hours there Tuesday night. That's why we didn't do a formal update there, because we were on for so long. We had so many reports of damage there in our South Georgia communities from those storms that came on through. And we were live streaming there hour after hour, giving you that vital information there to protect you, your friends, and your family. I know another storyline, though, nationally, that's been such a big deal. We were touching on it a little bit as we were looking there on our update as we were talking about that severe storm in Nassau County on that first day of school for many of you across our area on that Thursday. And that was the wildfire situation toward Maui. So let's go ahead and move away from a coverage map for now. It's such a unique situation there for sure toward Maui, and specifically toward the Lahaina area there, just devastated by wildfires in that region there. Just a catastrophe. Many people losing their life. The winds there, Roy came into play here very rapidly. It was a scenario Roy by the time it was a storyline here nationally. It had already happened, and it was about just really kind of understanding the scope of the devastation. But we had a Hurricane Dora there. Yeah, I know we've talked about Hurricane Dora that hit our area in '64, and it is a retired name in the Atlantic. But in the Pacific there, they still use that name, and the storm was several hundred miles away. But it, in connotation there, and conjunction, really coordination with a high pressure, that contrast there caused the winds to really pick up 40 to 50 in the gusts in general, but some gusts there, at least some of those reports getting over in that area 60 miles an hour. So not what you want to see. And that has caused really those winds there to spread the flames there very quickly. I know they're already getting power outages reported in that area as we were looking, and then ended up having a lot of buildings destroyed, a lot of people losing their life, and media reports continue to indicate those numbers going on up there toward that part of Hawaii there, Maui County. Again, this is such a serious, somber situation for those folks there around Lahaina. You can kind of see the terrain here off toward the east, but then in Lahaina proper there, it's such a historic place, and it's something there in terms of natural disasters. One of the worst natural disasters there we've seen toward Hawaii. I know you have to go back to '92 with the hurricane there that struck them. It went toward the west of some of the most populated areas, but I'll kind of zoom out and we'll go ahead and show you here the geography. I know it's not, sometimes if you're not familiar with Hawaii too much, I mean, you're probably not going to be too familiar with the geography. I know there's the Big Island here. Then we have Honolulu over here. That's where the capital is at this point. It is the area where you can see a lot of different roads, like an interstate system, and it's the most populated, really. But then you also have this area, Kauai, there, looking out further here. This is what was really impacted by the Hurricane Iniki there back in 1992. It hit right after Andrew did, and it caused really big problems out there. That's a tsunami situation looking further back. I know tsunamis and hurricanes you'd think they'd be most prone to, and that's the case, but unfortunately, things took an unexpected turn. Really, this was not something that was really being anticipated here. I mean, there was a fire threat in general, but not necessarily realizing just how bad this could be. There are a drought situation, though, the winds, and then you have fires, and it turns into a disaster for those folks there around Lahaina. One of the biggest there disasters, natural disasters in Hawaii history. And then maybe in some cases, I mean, depending on the toll, it could be one of the worst wildfire situations here, if not the worst that we've seen in the U.S. I mean, as you're looking at things, so I mean, it's not good at all. So let's go ahead and kind of zoom on out here. I know looking there toward that area. Let's go ahead and kind of zoom back out again. You can see some stuff on the radar. Some of it's smoke, some of it's sours based on indications. Maybe kind of seeing some of this a little bit of rain acts, and that's what you would want to see here. But earlier on, I know there was some tracking more of that smoke there on Doppler out toward that area as we're looking back in the timeline. There's better containment on the fires now, but it's still not completely out. So again, just continuing to watch those areas there in toward that part of the country. They're not the continental U.S., but and not part of the lower 48, but of course part of the 50 states. So again, continuing to look at things here in the Weather Center right now, just kind of checking all of our different tools that we have in the toolkit right now. See if there's any questions from any of the viewers. I don't see any right now, but again, thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me here late on this Thursday night, this early Friday morning, right? I mean, it's still Thursday evening there in Hawaii, but looking back toward the southeast now, I know we had a tornado threat back on Wednesday night. It didn't really materialize very much at all toward parts of Arkansas and Missouri. We're just seeing some things in the model. Didn't want to make too big of a deal about it unless it started to erupt there. We treated a couple of things there at Cloud Casey on Twitter, but not really seeing too much coming to play there overall, which is some good news. But as you look here in the timeline, next 7 days, with that rainfall forecast, you can see areas towards South Florida, quite a bit of rain is anticipated there. I know some parts of South Florida need to rain, some parts don't need to rain. So it's kind of a give and take here, just based on some different metrics. Some spots I've seen too much rain, really. And I'm thinking of areas like Fort Lauderdale, but this year other areas toward that west coast, not as much. It kind of varies location by location to some degree, but again, I just continue to watch things. I know one thing you can check on cloudy.com is that a drought map information. That's something to kind of bear in mind here. Definitely something to bear in mind as we kind of look at things. And I'll go ahead and check it right now. In fact, myself, over there, cloudy.com/extra. That'll be something that gets updated here. Something that we don't always think about, of course. So terrible in Hawaii. They really can always be thinking about wildfires here and that threat here as we look ahead just in the years to come because of what happened there. But looking here right now, I know above average temperatures, we have those temperature outlooks on there, and that's the storyline. And then the drought monitor, well, we're not seeing as much drought here toward Florida at this point, but areas right there just south of Tampa, do have some drought here that shows up. It kind of gets pretty significant pretty quickly there. So kind of interesting to take note of for sure as we're looking over there. But I know when we're not on the air, you can go to that.com/radar for an interactive look at things. And also when we're on, even if you want to look over there, you can. But in terms of local rain, it looks like on average here we're going to be seeing about an inch or so, give or take, over the next 7 days. So some spots obviously get a lot more, other spots not too much. So that's something to kind of be mindful of. And then as we go ahead and look at hurricane season real quick, I know Hurricane Dora in the Pacific having that impact here so severely toward that area out there. Of course, we had that name with Dora in the Atlantic in '64 that destroyed some areas toward the first coast. But hurricanes can have different impacts. If you think of Joaquin there going back toward 2015, I believe it was. We had all that rain there because of the overall pattern towards South Carolina. It wasn't a direct impact, but it was an indirect impact in that weather setup. So again, this you can always have to watch your things in the tropics for different impacts at different points. But as you look here, season, the threats in general are expected to go up. The forecasters are saying we're going to have an above average season. It hadn't materialized yet. We have the hot water temperatures out there, about as hot as you can ever see here, really. But then El Nino should be a suppressant here to some degree, but we'll just have to see what happens. That's why you got to have that hurricane kit up to date just in case here. Hopefully it'll be a season where we've just seen so many years here in a row with big time threats. Maybe this year we'll get lucky, but can't take that chance. The forecast offer a lot of storms. It's just a matter of where they're going to hit and how significant they're going to be. But you can see Emily, Franklin, and Gert here, your next 3 names on the list. So just be ready in case something really starts to arise. But we're not seeing anything right now in the models really for the next week or so at least. That's good. You can see here that a planning forecast. 50% chance on that Friday, 50% on that Saturday. You kind of get the idea. It's that typical summertime pattern here with storms to some degree that we're going to have maybe more banding than we generally get with more organized action from time to time. But these temperatures are going to be bigger type of numbers than we're generally used to seeing, with the average highs around 91, but instead getting toward 97, 98 degrees. So that's quite a bit warmer here than general. And then you can see those lows even a little bit above average as well. So going to be toasty out there. Just make sure you're drinking plenty of water if you're going outside for very long. And then keep in mind, children in the outer are the most vulnerable to the heat. So the kids going back to school there, that's something to bear in mind as well. This heat can be dangerous. It can be deadly here at points. But if you're taking the right precautions, you'll probably be all right. It's also the lightning. Gotta always remember when thunder roars go indoors. You see higher rain chances toward Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That actually might cool us down a little bit overall, but just something to kind of keep our eyes on. Maybe a little more cloud cover here, hopefully get us away from the heat here to some degree. But again, we'll just have to continue to watch things. You see instead of 97, 98 for the highs, they're seeing 95, 94, those 60% chances for showers and storms. So that'll be something we're watching here in the Weather Center for sure for you guys, just to see how things end up going here, in those type of scenarios. So again, that's your extended forecast. I think it's about going to wrap it up here for tonight. Let me go ahead and see that. I'll look here one more time at Hawaii, of course, where our thoughts and prayers remain for those folks there. I mean, even some tourists being impacted as well, but I know those folks that live there on Maui or that were really just living there, some of their homes, they're just gone, and some family members, friends, maybe even gone as well. So tragic there. But let's get back to home on the Doppler radar. You can see not too much going on right now. Interestingly enough, locally, you see the temperatures warm. See some marginal risks to the north and west, not in our area at this point for tonight. But areas of Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, 1 out of 5, and then North Texas took a few warnings outside of Arrest here, south of Wichita Falls. Some of those lie there, so kind of interesting. We had some tornado warnings up towards South Dakota, I know, earlier on, and you see it's a bit better to margin to Minnesota at this point, so kind of interesting there. But that's going to do it for tonight. We hope you have a great night out there. I'm sure we'll have to come back to a point during the next few days for those storms, as those chances here are going to be a story here, You'll be able to watch coverage as it is necessary on Facebook, Casey Cloud Every X, Cloud Weather, Twitter at Cloud Casey, and that's also called X now, of course, that platform, and then YouTube at Cloud Weather. Make sure you've already subscribed. Hit that subscribe button, enable all those notifications. That's free. And then Twitch there, Cloud Weather, cloudweather.com, and all that's just free here. Just emphasizing when I say subscribe, sometimes that kind of makes you think it's something we have to pay for it. But no, that's free as well. They're on YouTube. So again, thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.